Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most baffling and incredible archaeological finds in American history. Picture this. You're in the middle of the vast, rolling farmlands of the United States, miles from any significant body of water. The last thing you'd expect to find buried beneath the soil is a ship, right? Well, prepare to be amazed because that's exactly what happened. This is the story of the hidden ship that time forgot. A maritime ghost found in the most unlikely of places. So, where does our story begin? Not on the high seas, but in the heart of the American Midwest, specifically near the Missouri River. For generations, farmers had worked this land, their plows turning over the rich soil, completely unaware of the massive secret lying just feet beneath them. It wasn't until a major construction project began, involving deep excavation, that the first clues started to surface. Workers initially hit large, unusually shaped wooden beams. At first, they probably thought it was just old debris, maybe the remains of an old barn or a forgotten bridge. But as they dug deeper, the sheer scale and structure of what they were uncovering became clear. This wasn't just a pile of old wood. It was the distinct curved hull of a massive vessel. Imagine the scene. A construction site, buzzing with modern machinery, suddenly grinds to a halt. The crew, covered in dust and dirt, gathers around the edge of a pit, staring down at the skeleton of a ship emerging from the earth. The news spread like wildfire, attracting archaeologists, historians, and a whole lot of curious onlookers. The big question on everyone's mind was, how on earth did a ship of this size end up buried in a field, so far from any navigable waterway today? To answer that, we have to peel back the layers of time, long before these fields were fields. We need to go back to the 19th century, a time when the American West was still a wild frontier, and rivers were the superhighways of their day. The Missouri River, nicknamed Big Muddy, was a notoriously powerful and unpredictable force of nature. It was the main artery for trade, exploration, and settlement, navigated by a special kind of vessel, the steamboat. These weren't just any boats. 19th century steamboats were engineering marvels, flat-bottomed giants designed to navigate the shallow, treacherous waters of rivers like the Missouri. They carried everything. Pioneers heading west with dreams of a new life, supplies for burgeoning towns, gold from the mountains, and furs from the frontier. They were the lifeblood of the nation's expansion, but traveling on them was a risky business. The Missouri River was constantly changing its course, its powerful currents carving new channels and leaving old ones high and dry. The river was also littered with hidden dangers like sandbars and, most menacingly, snags, entire trees that had fallen into the water and become embedded in the riverbed, their sharp branches ready to pierce the hull of any unsuspecting vessel. This is where our buried ship re-enters the story. Archaeologists and historians began the painstaking process of identifying the vessel. By carefully examining its construction, the artifacts found within, and cross-referencing historical records of lost ships, they pieced together its identity. The evidence pointed to it being a mid-19th century sidewheel steamboat, a workhorse of the era. They even managed to give it a name, identifying it as the Arabia, a steamboat that tragically sank in 1856. The story of the Arabia's final voyage is a dramatic snapshot of life on the frontier. Loaded with an astonishing 200 tons of cargo destined for 16 different towns upriver, it was essentially a floating general store. It carried everything you could possibly imagine: tools, clothing, champagne, canned food, guns, and even prefabricated houses. One fateful evening, as it steamed up the Missouri, it struck a submerged walnut tree snag. The impact was devastating, ripping a massive hole in the hull. The water rushed in so fast that the boat sank to the bottom of the river in a matter of minutes. Miraculously, all 130 passengers and crew scrambled to safety, but the precious cargo and the ship itself were lost to the muddy depths. And here's the truly mind-boggling part. Over the next century and a half, the mighty Missouri River did what it does best. It moved. The river slowly but surely changed its course, migrating about half a mile eastward. Year after year, silt and soil deposited over the sunken wreck. What was once the bottom of a river became a floodplain, and eventually, rich, arable farmland. The Arabia was no longer at the bottom of a river. It was now buried 45 feet deep under a Kansas cornfield. Time had effectively entombed it, creating a perfect oxygen-free time capsule. The excavation was a monumental undertaking, a race against time and the elements. The team had to pump out immense amounts of groundwater while carefully removing tons of earth. But what they found inside was beyond their wildest dreams. Because the ship was sealed in mud, away from light and oxygen, the cargo was preserved in near-perfect condition. They unearthed wooden crates, filled with beautiful, intact porcelain dishes. They found jars of preserved pickles that still looked edible, though I don't think anyone was brave enough to try one. They discovered elegant clothing, boots that looked like they were made yesterday, and tools that were still sharp. Each artifact tells a story. It gives us an intimate glimpse into the lives of the people who were building a new life on the American frontier. These weren't just objects. They were the hopes, dreams, and daily necessities of a bygone era. It's one thing to read about history in a book, but it's another thing entirely to see a child's toy, a bottle of French perfume, or a set of carpenter's tools all perfectly preserved after more than 100 years at the bottom of a river that turned into a field. Today, the treasures of the Arabia are displayed in a magnificent museum in Kansas City, a testament to the perseverance of the treasure hunters and the incredible power of nature to both destroy and preserve. The story of this hidden ship is a powerful reminder that history is all around us, often buried just beneath our feet in the most unexpected places. It's a story of ambition, disaster, and incredible rediscovery. It shows how the landscape we see today is just a single frame in a very long movie, and sometimes, if we're lucky, we get a chance to rewind and see a scene from the past. What do you guys think? Can you imagine finding something so incredible in your own backyard? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading your thoughts on these amazing discoveries. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey back in time. If you enjoyed this video and want to explore more hidden histories with me, please hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an adventure. Until next time, stay curious,